Hey, what's up, Unbroken Nation? What happened in your life in that moment that actually inspires you to create change? Because I think that happens to a lot of people and nothing comes from it. But why were you inspired to do something different in that time?
That's a really great question because I actually joined the firm that I worked for because I was previously an entrepreneur running my own business. And I thought, you know what? I want to see the different side of the fence and see what it's like being an employee. And I joined the firm specifically to get personal development opportunities and get all the training and experience that the firm offered. Um, and actually, that point when I was told I had no emotional intelligence, I reached out to the firm and said, "Well, I'd like some coaching, please, to help me." And they said, "Oh, no, I'm really sorry, you're not the right grade to get coaching." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's an interesting thing." So I had to write my own performance plan, get assessed against the performance of my own performance plan to prove that I had I could perform better, and they wouldn't give me the professional coaching support. So I thought to myself, I've got control here because I have my own business previously, and I have the power to get the support that I need. And so I paid for the coaching myself, the professional coaching that I wanted to have. And I started with a business coach who really kind of focused on the business issue, which was this performance review. And he was a really great coach, and he helped me realize it wasn't me. The firm, there were a lot of moving parts beyond just me as being the problem, and reaching out to a high performance coach. My coach was Diane Schrock, who was part of the High Performance Academy. She's actually an emotional intelligence coach, and she quickly helped me realize that it wasn't just me, it was the system that was broken. And that's how I pulled myself out, is taking back control and not allowing people to um steal my own personal power, which is what they, in essence, had done in the corporate space, as I wasn't able to be myself. I got told, "Oh, you're too rough around the edges. You need to be cut." I was likened that I was an oval and I needed to become a circle. And it's like, well, stars don't fit in circular holes. You don't want to get rid of the spot, the pointy edges, because you want, you know, that star to shine brightly. If you think about back to your kids games, and that, I might be a bit pointy and I might be a bit rough at times and a bit direct, but that's me. And that's just the way I am. And yes, I have softened, of course, because I've been through this coaching journey and I've looked at myself in the process. Um, but I think the core thing there was that I wasn't able to show up as me in that company. It was diminishing me. And so taking back control of who I was and who I wanted to be and where I wanted to go was always there. And I'd just given it away as
Yeah.
being part of that entity of that firm.
And so many people do, and it's, you're not playing the game, right? And that's kind of what it is. I must have gotten a bazillion performance reviews working corporate before I went on my own and started my own businesses. And I got kicked out of team meetings. I would get kicked out of, like, people would be like, if you say one more thing, like, you're out of here. And I'd be like, yeah, but you guys don't get it. Like, here are the answers. Here are the things that make sense. And look, I'm not going to say sometimes I wasn't wrong, because I assuredly was,
Yeah.
but to work for companies where you're not and I don't even know if necessarily validated is the right phrase that I want to use, but to work for companies and corporations in which you are not appreciated, like, for your words, and you're given the space to speak up, which is the entire point of working for a company. Yeah, you got to dip, because that's going to end up really bad. And that's obviously what happened for you.
Mm.
And so you're in this transformation, you're seeing the impact that coaching is having on your life. I can relate to that entirely. It's a huge reason why I am a coach today.
Mhm.
And in that, what starts to transform in your body, in your mind, in your spirit, in your energy? Like, what are some of the telltale signs of growth for you in this?
So I think, um, The biggest shift for me was so that the obvious one that was really rock bottom when I started was energy, which is really what I focus on in my coaching now. So my energy at the time was rock bottom. So
And
it was
energy, define that, please.
so having been able to get out of bed in the morning, you know, was one of
Mm,
the first things. When you're in a really dark place, I was just sick all the time. You know, I was sick with sinus problems. I was struggling to. I was always crying all the time. I was exhausted emotionally. I was exhausted physically. I was exhausted mentally, just because of all of the rubbish that I was having to deal with in the firm. And you know, and I was exhausted spiritually because I wasn't doing what I was passionate about. And the big shift that started me realizing, do you know what, this is not me, this is the firm, was when I were at the time I'm in the military as a reservist. This is not the firm. This is was a separate thing. But I'm a military ski instructor, and I was asked to lead a team of people in the Alps, teach them skiing, and that's part of my reservist commitment. And when I was doing that, it was a really stressful environment, really complex personalities, and I did perfectly fine. I was the only instructor on the trip, which is very rare, and I did totally fine doing all of that, and delivered you know, exceptional results, and everyone was super happy and pleased with me. And I couldn't have been put in a harsher environment, whiteouts all the time, a diverse range of experiences, and I performed at my best, and I wasn't stressed, I wasn't flustered or anything. But as soon as I put myself back into the work environment that I was in and exposed to, I just turned into a, a crumbly mess kind of thing. I just didn't want to be there. It was like this flight thing. And so it was a real sign that, do you know, it's how important your environment is for you to flourish. And once I realized that it wasn't just me, it was the toxicity of the environment, and that includes people, that really allowed me to shift the lens to putting the power back into myself and knowing that, do you know, I can own this. I've got this. I know I've got it. There are examples of how I can do it, and I can pull myself out of this rut. And that really started me on that trajectory. And then the second one was when I went to the High Performance Academy live in the States, when I decided at the academy that this was my time to train as a coach, as a high performance coach at that time. And I was going to hand my notice in at work because it was just not serving me, and go back to being an entrepreneur, which was what I loved. And as soon as I got back, I handed my notice in, and served my term, which was unfortunately a bit longer than it is for you guys in the States, but and then left. So